Right, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks since I finished the Toyota Celica rally car. It's next project time. I'm going back to a Star Wars kit from the speeder bike with the Scout Trooper. When Bandai released these as a snap-tight kit about, 2-3 years ago, I wish I'd have picked one up when it was cheap, but at the time I hadn't got the money. I think the starting price for these is about 40-50 quid, and again I hadn't got the 40-50 quid to buy one. But now the Bandai versions of these kits, the original release, it can go anything up to 150 quid. And at the time I thought I got a kind of money, so I've managed to pick up an old Airfix version of the speeder bike. But most recently, within the last couple of months, the Mandalorian side of it on the Revell have actually re-released these, and they're about 40-50 quid again. But no doubt they will shoot up as well. So here's the next kit. So it's the old Airfix version of the speeder bike, released sometime in the 80s. I don't know the exact year, unless it says on the side of the box. I mean, it says 1983 there for the license, but I don't know when this was actually manufactured. The box art's pretty nice, you know, from the film. Some screen grabs from the film as well, with the landing team and Leia and the Ewok leader and one of the actual Scout Troopers on the bike. Same picture on the side. Like I said, I don't know if it actually was made in 1983. I don't know. But yeah, that's that. Now, when it comes to the actual sprue bag, the seller that I bought this off eBay, I paid £40 for this on eBay about 2-3 years ago. And he did assure me that all the parts were in there. So I've got a few bits loose, so I've got to be careful I don't lose those. But there's your Scout Trooper. So he comes in the two halves of his main body. His arms, looks like you got 2 or 3 different options. I don't know, maybe you have to put the two halves together, I don't know. But there's, you know what, I'll turn my flash on. There we go. So, moulded in grey. Details, not too bad. Not bad at all. Little bit of the bite there, that's just come off the sprue. I'll put that down a minute because it's pretty tangled. There we go. So you've got the main body of the speeder bike itself with a few bits and bobs that's got to go on top. Even though it's an 80s kit, the detail's quite nice, not bad at all. And then you've got a bit more. A few loose parts on my table. There's your stand. It's like a smoke transparent. So there's the stand, and there's the base, and there's the neck. Now, one of the controversies over this kit is the actual, I think it's a blanket or a cover maybe. I mean, this one's not too bad detailed. You got the side there. But what people have been doing, they've actually been making their own. Some have used milliput and like flattened it down and then rolled it up. Some have been using cloth. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. What I might do is I might get a piece of cloth, cut these straps off, the actual bit of plastic if I can, and reuse the straps. Because to be honest, the folding detail there isn't much to be desired. So I'm probably going to have to get a piece of cloth or something and try and recreate that better. Right, the instructions, it's only a 4-page instruction booklet. It's basically an A4 sheet folded in half and printed both sides. But the instructions don't look too bad. I don't think there's any decals with this. I mean, I haven't seen any. And it's just telling you to put the 2 halves together. Looks like the arms are in 2 halves after all. Yeah, I don't think this will take too long. I think it's the painting, the detailing that's going to make this a really long build. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's my little mini kit review done. Right, so there it is. Also, just a little side note, the Bandai version's on 1/12 scale, and I've been doing a bit of research online because it doesn't say on the side of the box what scale this is. This is actually 1/11, so it's slightly bigger than the Bandai kit apparently, so there's something you might have to consider if you want something bigger. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. It's time to get cracking on. Right, so I've done a little bit of work on the speeder bike. First of all, you got what I think is the engine box. So I've got the 2 halves of the engine box and a plate that I've got to glue in. So I've done that. So I've glued the 2 halves of the engine box, tape those together, and then you've got the plate that slips in right at the back here. There's like some grooves on the actual box, and then you just slide that in there and then tape it up. Just got to wait for that to dry. While I'm waiting for the engine box to dry, I'm going to glue the 2 halves of the figure together. So it says glue the front to the back, and then you've got the arms, 2 halves of the arms, they've got to glue those together. So just take note, on the back part of the Scout Trooper figure, you got a peg there and a peg there for the top of his head, a peg there and a peg there for his shoulders, and a peg there and a peg there for the inner recess of his legs, and those plug into the 2 holes on the top of his head, the 2 top holes in the shoulders, and the 2 holes in the recesses of the legs. Then you've got the arms, same again. You've got pegs on the one side, holes on the other. So I've obviously got to glue all those together. So let's see what happens. Right, so I've glued the Scout Troop together, and as you can see with all the tape that's holding him together, I'm just about to take the tape off, but I wanted to show you what he looked like with all the tape on. You've got one of the arms there all taped, the other on, and the engine box. So that's what I've done to hold them together. So I'm about to take the tape off now, and then we'll see what needs doing. So I've took all the tape off of the figure and the engine box. I need to do a bit of seam work, and probably some filling around there as well. Now the one thing I've got to really do is this part here. So when I come to put that in place, let me get the orientation right first. Right, so when I put that in place, you can see that it rocks. So obviously I need to sand that down properly flat, then that should go on flat. On the actual Scout Trooper himself, there's a lot of seam work I've got to do, and probably once I've sanded all them seams down, I've got some filling to do as well, especially around there. Look, if you see there, I've got to do some filling. Underneath, yeah, a lot of seam filling. That's got to be sanded down because there's a lip. I mean, I've glued that in properly, but I'm either going to have to fill that in or sand it down. The arms, again, they will need sanding and filling, especially around that handpiece there. And round there as well, that'll need filling. But it's glued together really well. The tape's done its job holding all that together. And then this will just slot in that little hole. And I can obviously move it round and put it in the position I want. I don't understand why the gap is so small, so big, because the peg is not that big at all. So I can do that with him. But yeah, not bad at all, just a lot of sanding and filling to do. Okay, I've done a fair whack of work over the last couple of days. You know, an hour here and there after work. So what I think is the engine box, I've glued all them ancillary parts on, and that's where have I put that? There it is. Right, so that's what that looks like. So you got that there. I don't know what that is, some kind of plate. You've got a plate that curls over there slightly. You've got that plate. Do you remember when I pushed it on and it was rattling, going backwards and forwards? I just got my sandpaper and just on the table and just did that, and I got it flat and just glued that in. Glued these little flaps in as well on the side, as it says there. So you've got those two flaps there, you've got that plate there. Oh, I forgot about that there, that little piece there that looks like a T-piece. That glues into the hole at the bottom, and basically what that is, that's a ball joint holder for the stand. So that's that. I actually glued it in the wrong way round, and then I realised, and then I had to break the seal of the glue and re-put it back in like that. I've still got to put these two intakes on, or exhaust, whatever you want to call them. I've still got to put them on the back. One goes there and one goes there, but there was like a square C shape you can probably just make out there and there on both sides. When I tried to put them on, it kept sitting on the actual tab, and it was flush that side and wouldn't sit on that side, so I had to cut them off and trim this bit down slightly. But those now do go on flush 100%. Going on to the next page. Now it's telling me I've got to glue the engine box and these ancillary parts onto the inside of the main body. I'll do that once that's primed and painted. Then you've got a bit more of the engine. So you've got to glue them two halves together. These two halves of this like prop shaft sort of thing. And then you've got these two brackets that go on top of there. You feed them through. Where are those? Yes. So you put the one on the one end, push it down. There's like a little, see that groove there, that like raised tab groove. There's actually a groove in the engine piece, and you just push it right down to the middle. Once that's been done, then you've got to glue this like fan intake. There's actually a notch. Actually, no. That's like a box on top of that. You glue the engine part into the back of there, and then you've got like the one that you put on this side, and you put it all the way down, actually glues into that little engine part there with a little slot. Once you've glued all that on, then you put this rod on. There's a hole there and there's a hole there. So that's that piece. Then you've got another, could be an engine part, exhaust. Two halves of that, glue that together, sand the seam down. Then obviously I've got to put that on the inside, which I'll do later. You've got some ancillary pipes. So that's that. I've got to put them on later. Going to the next part of the plans, you've got the steering arms and struts that go underneath the body, which will eventually plug into those two holes. That's all that. So you've got the main piece, which is just one piece, and then you've got a rod, half of a rod that glues onto there. You've got another half of a rod that glues onto there. Then you've got these like two bracket arms, and that's those. 1, 2. Then you've got like a stabilizer, front of the stabilizer, whatever you want to call that. That's that piece there, 2 pieces. Then you've got your mounts for your steering flaps, which is that. 2 pieces of that, as you can see on the picture. I've got to glue the steering flaps on top of that, but I've got to paint those brown first. And the other one there. Then you've got the foot stirrups. I'm actually quite surprised I remembered that. So that's that all put together. So there's like a groove inside the stirrup arm itself, which glues onto the underneath of the stirrup, like so, both sides, as it says on the plans there. I don't think I've glued that in yet. I probably should have done. I've got to glue that on. Where's that gone? So I've got the arm underneath. I've glued that on there. But it looks like I've forgotten to glue that arm on, so I've got to do that. The handlebars in 3-4 pieces, which is really, really flimsy. And to be honest, I don't think there's any point in putting those on until I do the figure. Now with the figure, I've just sanded him down, got rid of all those seam marks, and the proof of the pudding will be when I primer it. So all these bits now have all got to be primered.